Okay. So, the thing is, right, when we think about policing, again, hey, guess what? That's what we're still talking about. So, when we think about policing, we have different ideas about what police could be, right? So, depending on a couple things, right? If we look at every movie ever made, right, we think that they are supposed to serve and protect. We want them to fight crime. Depending on who you ask, right? They are heroes, or they are heroic. They keep peace. By the way, every time I hear hero, I think of that Nickelback song, "To the hero will save us." I hope that song is stuck in your head all the time. You don't know the song. Look up Nickelback "Hero," and you tell me that if you don't kind of like rock out to that. So, and if you don't, well, you have no soul and you shouldn't be alive. But whatever. Or someone like the djinn from the Wishmaster came and took your soul. So you shouldn't have wished for whatever you wished for. So, if you don't know what that is, Google it. So, when we have the police in here, we're here to serve and protect. We're keeping peace. We kind of think of them as heroic, right? We also want them, their order, right? They also, when they serve, this public. They're a public entity for this kind of thing. So, when we think about like all these different things that come up with police, right, we know that this is largely based off of the London model, so London Metropolitan. So, largely attributed to the first kind of police, right? And so, when we think about like formal police, then, a few things that, we want them to do, right? So if you think it underneath this London model, which we'll call LM, police were designed to achieve a couple things, right? They're supposed to prevent crime, which is what we do think of what we want our police to do, right? So the goal for them is not necessarily to respond to crime, although they do that. We also want them to respond quickly to it, to prevent it from even happening, right? So related to this then is that they serve as a deterrent for criminal activity. So what that is that, maybe they deter absolutely, so they prevent all crime from happening all the time. Or maybe it's just more of a restrictive deterrence, or they at least limit or influence the behavior that comes in. So because, in order for them to function and operate then, they usually rely on public approval. So, like if people are displeased with the police, that's not really good. Maybe not the best thing that we want, but, we do want them to feel like the police are okay. Maybe not friendly per se, but, something that is nice, right? And so, in order to work with the public and the community, right, we want people to be willing and cooperative, which often relies on police to be polite, respectful, really engaged with the community. And underneath this London model also is that they wanted to limit force. And this is often why you see English police have like no weapons on them, because they don't want to use force to do it. So they want to rely on maybe more of like a persuasion, or to kind of warn you or advise you of something that's going on, right? And so because of this, because it's really about building this strong relationship with the public, then it's more about being cooperative. So working together with the community to prevent crime from happening. And so because of that, at the same time, right, while you do want to work for the public, you can't always sway to public opinion, because if you start swaying to public opinion, people have different ideas of what's good, what is right, and depending on who is more powerful, right, you could have more influence. The goal then is to just rely on being impartial, right? So you have no dog in the race or a dog in the hunt. And so your goal then is to not only be impartial, but uphold the law, because that is believed to be most just in society underneath this philosophy. So we want them to limit force. That's supposed to be a limit. And so because like their job is just law, they aren't judges, and they shouldn't go about making, saying who's guilty or punishing people like that. Their goal is to simply control the situation, make sure things are fine, and at the same time, leave it up to the courts to decide, work with people in the administration of justice. So, and when we think about like what police are and what makes them most effective, or how we judge them right, they're effective if there is low crime and disorder. So low crime and disorder, right? So if we see a lot of crime, right, that we should really judge the police based off of that, right? So why is there high crime? If their goal is to prevent it, why is it going on? So at the same time, then we shouldn't judge them based off of visible actions. So we shouldn't is not to eval. That's a really cramp. I don't care. But the goal then is to judge police based off of how well they do at limiting crime and making it less of an issue for other people in the past and doing like that. So this is what the police ideally in the English world were created to be. And it's debatable about whether or not that model implemented and passed over the United States. So the next video, we'll kind of talk a little bit more about what that looks like, how it looks like, and what happened along.